Thank you all so much for coming to this event. Is It a Love Story? This is the first year we've done something quite like this. In the past, we've only really worked with our poets' work and combining music and poetry, but this year we really wanted to go all out, so we decided to use Asia Gable's The Ensemble as inspiration for incorporating all of our authors' work together, trying to answer questions about what it means to tell a love story and connection and disconnection, and having all of our authors try to answer that question. And we've brought disciplines together from the theater department as well as the music, and we couldn't have done it without Kira Sky and Lucia. So I'm going to have them talk about it a little bit more. I think they can do it much better.
Hello! I'm so excited about this. Thank you so much for coming. This really means a lot. This has been like in my head for so long, and now it's happening. Word. This idea actually started when we were putting panel ideas together, and I really liked the beginning of Asia's The Ensemble because there's this whole theme of like, is it a love story? And all the characters start to answer it, and I was like, I wonder if we could add that with all the other authors. And last year when I went to the New Voices Festival, my favorite part was the music portion. I'm a writing major, but I love music. I'm a musician, and I play things, and it's fun, so I wanted to be able to incorporate that and everyone in a story, because that's what we're all here for, right? I'm so excited for this. I was given excerpts of the pieces by Eleanor, Margaret, and Jen over spring break, and then I put them together like puzzle pieces and listened to The American and set everything up to fit quite nicely. And so I'm reading the score that the wonderful quartet is playing and then bringing people on stage to read the excerpt. And I just want to introduce the quartet because they're so good and they're my friends. So let's please give a warm welcome to Matthew Barnard on the violin. Taylor Payne also on the violin. Zach Cohen on viola. And Malachi Brown on the cello.
Hi everyone, my name is Lucia. I'm a representative from the theater department, and I brought a couple lovely pals from the department as well to be the voices of these excerpts today. We have Rafael Lopez. We have Aaron Lockett, Christian Henry, and the lovely Lucy Gladstone. There's a couple subs from your program, so there's a couple different names in there that we have here tonight, but the show is going on. Thanks for being with us.
Without further ado, let's begin.
love story, the famous violinist had said. And even though Jaina knew it was not, those were the words that knocked around her brain when she began to play on stage. They had finished a run-through of the Dvorak's American, which, according to Jaina, was definitely not a love story. But here they were, the Van Ness String Quartet, performing in their final graduation recital at the conservatory, starting the shimmering notes of the first movement. And all she could think, as much as thinking was involved at all, was maybe it was a love story. It was a love letter to the country, as she understood it from her classics. Dvorak's European peasant take on American folk songs. But how could someone think that this was a story of romantic love? It seemed to Jaina to be more classic than that. Here's what she knew: that the Dvorak American was about the simple opportunity of America, and that no one was more closely acquainted with identifying and consuming opportunity than she was. By the time Henry's viola solo entered 3 bars later, she had decided again. No, it was not a love story.
Salvador, if I return on a summer day so humid, my thumb will clean your beard of salt. And I touch your volcanic face and kiss your pumice breath. Please, don't let cops say he's gangster. Don't let gangsters say he's wrong barrio. Your barrio stain you with pollen, red liquid pollen. Every day cops and gangsters pick at you with their metallic beaks, and presidents guilty. Dad swears he'll never return. Mom wants to see her mom, and in the news every day, black bags, more and more of us leave. Parents say, don't go, you have tattoos, it's the law, you don't know what law means there. But what do they know? We don't have green cards. Grandparents say nothing happens here. Cousins say here, it's worse. Don't come, you could be stupid, Salvador. You see our black bags, our empty homes, our fear to say the war has never stopped. And still, you lie and say, I'm fine. I'm fine. But if I don't brush Abuelita's hair, wash her pots and pans, I cry. Like tonight, when I wish you made it easier to love you, Salvador. Make it easier to never have to risk our lives.
It's a Love Story was not something Henry remembered from his coaching session, and certainly not what was running through his mind when he introduced the jaunty Americana melody in the 3rd bar. Instead, what had glommed onto the inside of Henry was what Fidorio had said when he passed Henry his card as he was packing up his viola. Call me if you decide this quartet business isn't for you, he'd said. I can set up a few recitals in front of the right people in New York. You could have a great solo career. Henry had wordlessly taken the card, slid it into the velvet pocket inside his case, and had not moved it since. But the card throbbed there nonetheless. If you decide this quartet business isn't for you, as though Fidorio had already decided it was not for Henry, and was simply waiting for Henry to come to the same conclusion. But Henry hadn't decided anything at all. He never did, young as he was and blessed with the kind of talent that guided his life's decisions for him. Rebecca itched to have the child in her hands. She wanted that smell back, the promise of it enough to make her forget the lumbar throb, the embers of pain from her navel to her knees. My daughter is at an age now in which she wants to be a mother. She has several dolls, but really, she will make anything into her baby. She has cradled a fork. She has cradled a squeegee. She has pulled an eggplant from the fridge and wrapped it in her arms and rocked it to sleep. I watch her as she pretends to be me, or someone like me. I am reminded of that famous baby monkey experiment on the mother-child bond. How the baby monkeys would cling to a cloth replica of a mother, even when offered a wire replica holding a bottle of milk. The conclusion seemed to be that maternal bonds are important, a fact doubted in the 1950s. But a better conclusion to me is that we can make a mother out of anything, even nature, even the earth, if we want one badly enough. Just like my daughter sits here beside me and makes her very own baby out of what someone less dedicated could easily mistake for the luminous purple fruit of a nightshade. The crying wasn't so loud, wasn't so disruptive, but it had some other sort of effect on her. Something chemical, or akin to those whistles that only dogs can hear. His crying affected her uniquely among all living people because he had issued from her body. It was her own cells calling back to her, saying, "You feel hungry, and you don't even know it." Whether or not it was a love story did not concern Daniel, as these days he didn't have room in his life for romance or enduring love or any symptom or side effect of the two. Not when he had to practice twice as hard to keep up with the rest of the quartet and their maddeningly natural abilities, and especially Henry, whose obscene talent teetered on the edge of prodigy, who could play drunk, blind, in love, or out of it. There was no space for love in Daniel's life when he had to work real jobs in addition to their schooling, moonlighting at a bar in the Castro, picking up wedding gigs when he could, and teaching beginning cello lessons to rich kids in Pacific Heights. It's a love story, sure. Okay, but what else?
Diane the Divine. Here she is again in her blue satin blouse, hair blown out like a positive aura. She's standing behind a screen door crisscrossed with ornate ironwork. You know as well as I do how fast a woman learns to disguise her armor as jewels. Diane is so goddamn perfect, it's like she's printed on a picture card. I heard Billy whisper from the backseat as Diane drove us. God, this must have been, what, 1982? Straight clear out of town. You could slip her right into your pocket like that. He moved his hand to his lap and clawed his blue jeans into a bunch. Diane was always on her phone in her bedroom, the purple cord twisted around her fingers. I'd stay over and hear her talking into that thing all night. Strange things she'd be saying to whoever on the other end, about windows breaking and walls closing in. She'd tell me things too. Like sometimes she saw what she didn't want to see, visions that made her hands shake as she started the car. One time, after she'd been in the bathtub for an hour, I started knocking. She was pale as a rat, and that mascara of hers all over her face. More troubling than that sight of Diane, or at least what bothered me more at the time, was the lemon in the tub with her. It was so yellow, bumping the islands of soap around her knees. She wouldn't spill what had happened, only that she was trying to figure out what heartbreak is. She can be funny like that, in the way that makes you want to eat everything you own for fear you'll never feel full again. I stroked her hair till it dried, and all of those wispy ones started floating from the crown of her head. When she was out of the tub, I went back to the bathroom. And I've never told anyone this, but I bent down and scooped that lemon up. There were little teeth marks, beautiful crescent incisions, running all over it.
Of course it's a love story, thought Britt, though she thought everything was. This note here, and this one, this joyful counter melody, her second violin harmony, the collective intangible, the audible agreement, her relationship with Daniel, which he rather coldly cut off a few days ago. Even the absence of love was a love story for her. Even this pain, this suffering, it was useful. Though she imagined one day no longer needing to know that, or she fantasized about rewinding her life and starting over. So she was a person who did not have to know that. Or she entertained the idea of a parallel Britt, living in a world in which there was no need to make sense of a man who up and left on the brink of love, or people who up and left, of a life strung together with all these little leavings. But she felt sad for the parallel Britt, an emptier sadness than she felt for herself now. They were all love stories.
Just who owns the attraction passing between bodies?
We say neurons fire because a frame of mind needs the border of poetry. Something fuzzy, buzzing. Your face glows coastal, leaves me feeling fine as the powdery shoreline at low tide. Dummy, all our lives we are the wavelengths of light who escape the negative space, urge towards sunset, scattered roadways, morning haze, and the gusting forward of time. Oh, shut the fuck up, voices! Change! How dare you tether me to lines I wrote in like 2009? Going over your old poems, huh? Do you ever wish you could just be always oneself? Whole is a privilege and a pedestal. Whole Foods has a delicious hot buffet. Red Alert, DEFCON 5, Deep Space 9, LOL clack clack of expensive shoes slapping down the train platform. A car backfiring, sputter of a gunfire on a Snapchat story. I don't know where the feeling is or what to do with it, and spend most of the day in bed with my eyes squeezed shut. But then we went to the park and ate a vanilla ice cream sandwich and an empanada. We went to the vigil and marched and held hands, got pizza and played pool at a gay bar with John and Peter, because whatever season it is will not be open season on my spirit. And then went to karaoke, and after I said, I love you for the first time in my life, said it to someone I'm dating, and you said, I love you so much, and I know where that feeling is and what to do with it. It's going all over the place. How are the people most fucked by society treated the absolute worst, and those most coddled given the most opportunity? How can happiness be anything more than a metaphor for privilege? Thus my obsession with punchlines. Stop me if you've heard this one. Who will save your soul? This is a thought experiment, and there I go, drooling. When you nurse a crush for 2 years, you become a boss at being tipsy. All that rub, no climax. Let's wait a while before we go too far. I thought falling in love was a burden, a kind of crowding on my landscape. Love creates space, dummy, doesn't. Take it up.